The more we hear about the Quest 3, the better and better it sounds. In an earnings call, Mark Zuckerberg said, quote, "Later this year, we're going to launch our next generation consumer headset, which will feature meta reality as well." They didn't say particularly the Quest 3, but they have said last October, Quest 3 is coming this year. So that is likely the only headset that we know of that they are working on to launch to consumers. Meta reality meaning the color pass-through, the same color pass-through that we've seen on the Quest Pro, which, albeit has been a little underwhelming to some, is promised on the Quest 3, which would be a big step if you look at it directly compared to Quest 2 pass-through that was very chalky and hard to stomach for any length of time. This after a few months ago, we had CAD files leaked to popular YouTuber Bradley Lynch, and more recently, 3D modeler Marcus Kane actually made renders based off of those CAD images to show what the Quest 3 will most likely look like. As you can see here, very similar aesthetic to the Quest 2, but much smaller due to the same pancake lenses they're using on the Quest Pro. Sadly, the same head strap, that could change, but it looks like really almost the exact same head strap minus a hole for the USB-C port on the side, which may make it harder to use the accessories from before. With still quite a few sensors showing up on this, we are still uncertain whether the Quest 3 will have self-track controllers or will still rely on IR tracking like the Quest 2. But so far, I've got to say the size of this, hopefully the weight distribution that it looks like, I'm really excited for the Quest 3 and how it might feel on your face compared to a Quest 2. And Mark Zuckerberg had said before, it was somewhere in the $300 to $500 price range at launch. So if they hold true to that, we're looking at a true Quest 2 replacement by the end of the year that is actually consumer friendly. Some controversial news dropped this week when developer Ready at Dawn and Meta announced that they're going to be shutting down extremely popular VR esports game Echo VR. Echo came out back in 2017 and has been available on all Oculus headsets ever since. If by somehow you haven't heard of Echo VR, it is a space-based game with zero gravity where you are up against another team. You have a disc that you are trying to throw into their goal. You can punch each other to stun each other. You're flying through, bouncing off of walls and each other to speed really fast. It's a very intense game. Now, while they are still holding strong to this, there is a petition that has come out that I will leave a link in the description if you are interested in signing this to try and help save the game. Historically, petitions like this don't always work, but if it gets enough signatures, it might garner enough attention for them to consider an extension. On their end to help, in the meantime, they are giving out a bunch of goodies, epic, superb, rarity, chassis booster, bracer sets from the past 6 seasons of the game, the chassis variants, event awards, other unreleased rewards, a whole lot of stuff coming, but it's wild to think that it's had 6 seasons and they're now shutting this down. They've already taken it off the store, so unless you'd previously installed it, you may not be able to get this on your headset anymore. What do you think? I haven't played Echo VR in a while, but I know that there's still big events. There's even one this March that I was considering going to that are big esports events based around Echo. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. During the holidays, you could snag yourself a Quest 2 bundle that came with 2 of the top games, Beat Saber and Resident Evil 4. That deal has now ended, but a new deal is popping up starting February 5th that will include Golf Plus and Space Pirate Trainer. If you haven't seen Space Pirate Trainer or Golf Plus before, Space Pirate Trainer is a wave shooter bullet hell style game, but it also includes Space Pirate Arena, which is an experimental game that uses your entire play space if you have enough space or you go somewhere that does, where you can actually free roam around to play the game, fighting enemies or multiplayer against each other. Made a pretty big splash back when it came out, but it was so hard to get it set up and have the space for it that a lot of people stopped trying. Golf Plus, of course, very popular golf simulator, even has top golf courses that you can go to and play at. So this deal basically gives you an extra $50 in content between these two games. Not nearly as popular or as good of games in my opinion as Resident Evil 4 and Beat Saber were, but it's still something if you're looking to get yourself a Quest 2, especially as the Quest 3 is approaching. With that said, I'm curious how many of you out there who've been thinking about getting a Quest 2 would be willing to pay full price even with these extra games, as the rumors of the Quest 3 coming out this year, putting it well in that same price range as a brand new Quest 2. There is some light at the end of a long tunnel from Meta, as they had repeatedly had earnings calls that were getting rough as profits were down below projection. Their shares have actually gone up almost 20% on their 4th quarter revenue beat. With Meta exceeding their estimates for revenue, this puts them in a good position for the stock going up. That said, Meta Reality Labs, the division that's in charge of VR, did rebound a bit in Q4, but was still a lot less than Q4 2021 due to lower Quest 2 sales. Not surprising to hear, as a new headset hadn't come out, more and more leaks about the Quest 3 were coming that may have slowed down sales of the Quest 2, and the Quest 2 recently had that price increase that made a lot of people who are thinking about getting it a lot less attracted to the idea of getting the headset. That said, this doesn't doesn't seem to be slowing down any spending over at Reality Labs, where they had their highest quarter of spending ever, even with that lower revenue. This means that Meta is still continuing to invest in VR heavily in their future of the metaverse as they believe in it. What do you think? Do you think that's a good move on their part to keep on pushing this towards that Quest 3? I'd love to know. Would you be willing to go to school or learn through a VR headset? Startup Prism's VR is looking to do just that. They've recently raised an additional $12.5 million to teach math and more using VR in schools. Launched in 2021, this program is looking to make real-world problems virtually for people that have to use math skills to then solve these problems instead of those old word problems that I'm sure we all remember, that you sit and read through the word problem about a train leaving one city and a train leaving the other city and when will they meet in the middle. From the trailer, this looks actually really interesting to me. You see all kinds of real-world case uses for this math, and it's math that would actually help you in these situations. There's even collaborative features where people are working together multiplayer to solve these problems together. And this is talking about VR in school. I know that a lot of people are concerned about VR replacing school and people staying home and not learning the same as each other. This is taking the tool and putting it in the school to use it. I would love to hear what you think about that out there, because I know before when I've talked about if VR would ever replace school, a lot of people are really resistant to that. But VR coming to school, I think if I was going to be learning and I got to put a VR headset on and learn in that, I'd be really open to that myself. So what do you think out there? I'd love to know what news is going on this week that we haven't touched on here. There's a lot in the PSVR 2 realm so much that we're probably gonna make a news video just for PSVR 2 itself, because we're coming down to the wire. That thing is coming out in like 18 days. But hey, I wanna say thank you so much for coming out and being here with me. I will see you in another reality.